Hi, I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going to lift up our voices in song today because we're talking about choral music. My guest today is Mimi Daitz, who is the music director and conductor of the Riverdale Choral Society. And we're going to talk a lot about choral singing and how you can be a part of it and how you can enjoy what it is. Mimi, I hear so much about people who sing because I say that I can't. And so what is this joy that people get out of singing with a choral group?
First of all, it's something that almost everyone can do. And people who say they can't sing, I don't believe. I've worked with people who say they can't sing, and they've learned to sing. So virtually anyone, unless they are physiologically tone deaf, and that's a tiny percentage of the population, everyone can sing.
You have given me hope.
Good start.
I was always a listener.
That's in lecture number 1 about to my classes at City College where I taught for 34 years. But so it's something that everyone can do. It is a natural human activity. Every culture has singing in it. Unfortunately, our musical establishment perhaps looks down on it because everybody can do it. It doesn't get the kind of attention that the opera, the symphony, or even chamber music gets. But not only can everyone do it, people can learn to do the greatest music that's ever been written.
I was talking to someone not too long ago who had just finished singing in the Brahms choral work. And she said it was the greatest experience there was, being a part of it. So what you're saying is very true. So who are the people who are part of this organization? It's been in existence for 35 years.
This season, September, will be the 35th season, right.
And so who are the people? Who are the people who sing?
Well, they're a wonderful mixture. There are people with virtually no experience in choral singing who don't even read. And I'll come back to that in a minute because that's a very interesting question. To people who are very experienced, who have sung with some of the best choruses around New York City and the area. They are, in terms of their backgrounds, there's a puppeteer, a physicist, teachers, retired people, people still working. I think the age range must be from mid-20s to well into the 70s.
I'm hearing that it's not only an opportunity to sing, but there's a lot of social ramifications here.
Definitely is. Yes, that's certainly a part of it. And keeping the organization going, contributing. Everyone has to do a little bit of something, and some do a great deal.
How does one become a part of it?
We have an open audition that will be coming up September 8th, to be exact. And everybody is invited to that. We will sing a few things from our current repertoire, and we'll get started rehearsing the new material.
Isn't that great? We're going to make sure that we give a telephone number and just make sure that everybody has a pen ready to write it down so that they can call if they want to find out more information and sign up for the audition. We'll give that number a little later in the program. So you say they come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And what kind of music do you do?
Well, we do the traditional literature. For example, this coming season, in the fall, we'll be doing a couple of Bach cantatas. In the spring, we're probably going to do a Haydn Mass with orchestra. This past spring, we did a rather unusual program. Finno-Ugric. What's Finno-Ugric?
I have no idea.
Okay. Today it means basically Finnish, Estonian, and Hungarian composers.
Key word there, Estonian. We'll get to that in a little while.
Okay. Actually, Finno-Ugric represents many tribes of whom, the ones who remained and became actual nations were the three countries I mentioned.
The question that always interests me is when you go to a concert, is it better to hear music you know, or is it better, or maybe there's no better, music that is new to you, and maybe you're learning something new or hearing something new? How about the public? How
I
they feel?
think music is such an individual thing, how we respond. That's why it's so wonderful. Each one of us responds to it in our own way. And for myself, I like new, I like old. There's something that's familiar, has a very special feeling to it. And then I like to hear new things.
The Riverdale Choral Society gives concerts twice a year, is that?
Generally December and May, but also a very important part of this group is that we do concerts in nursing homes and hospitals. And I had my first experience of that with the group, and it was wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. You've taught music for many years at City College, as you mentioned. What's the difference from a conductor's viewpoint about an orchestra and a chorus?
Well, let's see. Are we talking about amateurs or are we talking about professionals?
Both.
Because I think there are differences
Well, tell me
depending
both, sure.
on each group. I think with choruses, whether they are professional or amateur, there is more of an interrelatedness, a personal relationship between the conductor and the singers. Perhaps it's because human voices are the instruments of the group. And the voice, if you've ever had voice training, a lot of what you do has to do with psychology, with feelings. You can't put the larynx, you don't touch it, you don't work with it as a physiological phenomenon. You have images. And the conductor has to talk in images a great deal to get certain effects from the instruments
Do you
that
play
he's
an
working
instrument?
with. Well, I mess around on the piano, and I used to play guitar. Enough for my teaching, but I'm not a pianist.
And how about the orchestra? Have you conducted orchestras?
I have conducted an orchestra. In fact, I did it. I went to the wonderful High School of Music and Art.
Oh, did you?
Great, great place. And when I was 15, I conducted an orchestra, and when I was 16, I conducted the senior chorus.
But your professional career has been
Choral.
work.
Yes, right. That's really my
How
first love.
How did life take you on that path?
When I was 13, I sang in a wonderful group conducted by Harold Axe called the Interracial Chorus of New York. An adult group, about 50, 60 singers, and Hal brought in a bunch of us from music and art because we could read. We could read music, and not all of the regular members. Some of them could, but some of them couldn't. So we kind of helped. But we were there all the time. We didn't just come in for the concert. We were regular members.
And you saw the light?
And I was entranced. I was totally involved in that. It was a marvelous thing. I sang with it all my years of high school, in addition, of course, to singing in choruses in high school itself.
There's no question that singing is something that we all do, whether we do it badly or we do it when nobody can hear us in the confines of a wonderful sounding bathroom, for example.
Right.
You mentioned reading music. Is it necessary to be able to read music in order to participate in your group?
Not for the Riverdale Choral Society. For many of the other good choruses in around the New York area, it is a requirement. We have a much more inclusive policy. That is, I do an informal audition, and I stress the informal because a lot of people are terrified of the idea of an audition and won't come because of that. And I do my best to try to put them at ease, and it lasts all of 4.5 minutes, perhaps. What I'm interested in is their ear and a pleasant voice.
That's interesting. Not the throat.
Not reading, no, what they can
ear.
hear, and can they learn in a reasonable amount of time a tune of moderate difficulty. And if they can do that, they can sing with us, as long as they have a commitment to work on the music, and we have a variety of ways of helping them work on the music. I should say at the same time that we have membership who are extremely experienced singers, who have sung with some of the best groups around town and prefer Riverdale because of the nature of the people in it.
But it's interesting to me that you mentioned the Love Riverdale, but your members come certainly from Westchester and
Yes.
certainly from
Upper
the
Manhattan.
Bronx and New Jersey and
Yes.
Manhattan. So the it's, although you're based in Riverdale,
Yes.
you certainly have a number of Westchester people in it, and you welcome, I'm sure, people from,
Very much
from
so.
Westchester become a part of it. What's required? As far as the singers are concerned, they pay an annual membership.
It's a semester. It's $65.
$65.
And purchasing the music.
Oh, they have to buy.
And I do try to keep that down to a reasonable amount. So it's not
And
exaggerated.
and you have rehearsals.
We have rehearsals every Tuesday evening from 7:30 to 10. We've found a wonderful place that has welcomed us, the Methodist Church Home on Manhattan College Parkway. And what I do to help those who don't read, what we were just talking about before, is have a sight singing workshop 45 minutes before the regular choral rehearsal. It's not obligatory. This is purely voluntary. And I had a group of 5 devoted people in the spring who came, and I had a terrific time with them. They started from absolute zero. They didn't know a half note from a whole note, a treble clef from a G, from a bass clef, and by the end they were beginning to sight read. And that was 3.5 months with no homework or exams, but paying attention. And they asked great questions. So.
It seems to me that aside from the joy of singing and aside from the joy of listening to the sound, and we're going to listen to some of that in a little bit, but aside from all of that, there's a great sense of accomplishment here, isn't there? Especially for people who don't know that they can't sing. And I keep hearing this because I belong in that large group.
Well, I'm going to have to listen to you, and I'll tell you about whether you can sing or not.
Welcome to my bathroom.
Yes, there is a very special joy in that achievement, but we don't want to lose sight of the process. I think the process of rehearsals, of working hard at great music, is in itself a reward. It is true that most of us like to have the performance to show off our accomplishment, what we've done, but it is the process more than the product that counts.
We'll talk about that process in a moment, but first I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking today with Mimi Daitz, who is the music director and conductor of the Riverdale Choral Society. They give concerts, they welcome members, and we're going to give a telephone number in a little while where you can get more information about that. But the process itself, when choral music, of course an orchestra has many parts, many instruments. What happens in choral singing?
Well, we have a cappella choral singing, which means just the voices themselves without any instrumental accompaniment. That does take a bit more training. We have sung a cappella music. It's a little more difficult because the chorus has to stay on pitch, and they've got to provide it themselves. The accompanist will give the first pitches. So what we have is soprano, alto, tenor, bass. We may have them divisi, that is divided, so we have more than one part, more than one melody. There are choral pieces written for 16 parts. I don't think we're up for that right now, but who knows in the future.
But I have heard the group. I have been to your concerts, and I think our viewers can see for themselves and hear for themselves what it's like, what you're producing, the great sound, because we have some video. And why don't we just run that little video right now for a minute or so people can hear this terrific sound, really something. what was that we just heard? The sound was glorious.
It was a section of Dvorak's Mass in D, a wonderful piece. I chose it particularly because it has a lot of music for the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
There are great pieces of the literature in which the chorus has to stand or sit while the soloists do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are solo sections in this piece,
Yes.
but it's largely choral. And that's what the singers are there for. They want to sing.
The choices of what you can plan is enormous, right? There's a lot of music that's written, but of course you have to decide what is best for your group and what is best for your audience.
Right, combination, exactly. Also what we can afford. How many instrumentalists we can play. Now, that piece was written by Dvorak originally for chorus and organ. Great. We had a good organ in the Riverdale Presbyterian Church where we performed, and so we had no cost for an orchestra. We have in the membership people who have become very good at fundraising, however. So we will be doing the Bach cantatas with some instrumentalists, some two oboes, a string quartet, and that's a wonderful experience. Singers love to sing with just voices, but it's also an important experience to sing with other instruments as well.
You talked about fundraising. You do get some funding from the Bronx Council for the Arts.
Yes, we certainly
and some
do.
corporate funding as well.
Yes.
It's very important that everybody, the performing arts centers, the theater, if they didn't have the support, unfortunately, ticket sales never pay for.
Never do.
And it's important. I do want to get to Estonia because I know that's an important part of your life, but I do want to have the opportunity now for you to give the telephone number that people should call if they are interested in finding more about auditions or coming to the concert. So what is that number?
It's 718-543-2219.
And would you repeat that because sometimes people don't quite catch up to that?
Well, they might not have a paper and pencil right at hand. 718-543-2219.
And we're going to put that up in the closing credits as well, so people can write it down at that time. We'll be fine. Now, Estonia. You fell in love with Estonian music. What happened?
What happened? Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. Teaching at City College, I did, of course, conduct the chorus there. I also conducted the vocal ensemble. But there were times when others were given a chance to do that, and so I became active as a musicologist. My work in musicology was mostly in French vocal music for many years. And then one summer, my husband and I went to a symposium of the IFCM, International Federation for Choral Music, which was a movable feast, starting in Stockholm. Then everybody got on a boat, went to Tallinn, Estonia, the capital of Estonia, and ended up in Helsinki. And during that symposium...
Little did you know how your life would turn.
It really, really changed my life, that meeting, symposium. We had choral music from 8:30 in the morning until past midnight. It was just amazing, with groups from all over the world. We were 450 professional conductors, managers, singers, and from over 50 countries. And at that particular symposium, which was 1990, I heard for the first time the music of Veljo Tormis, an Estonian composer. And it was a 10-minute work, and we were all bowled over. Everybody was just amazed. None of us knew his name. And I thought, well, there are composers who've written a wonderful work, and that's about it. And I said, well, let me find out about him. Then we went to Tallinn. We stayed there just a day and a half. And in a day and a half, I became what's known in Estonian as an estophile, a lover of Estonia. And every American I know who's been to that country has had the same reaction. Small country, 1.6 million people, with fantastic artistic...
What is it about the music that intrigues you?
Well, for Tormis's music particularly, it's based on ancient Estonian folk music. And because it has that basis, it's accessible. At the same time, he's very much of the 20th century. And so there are dissonances. He had his training at the Tallinn Conservatory, at the Moscow Conservatory, because Estonia was, of course, a part of the Soviet Union for 50 years. And so it's not just that he's doing some folksy, simple thing. But he uses that folk music in a variety of ways.
He is living.
He
composer.
is living.
Have
He
you
is
met him?
69. Yes, I worked extensively with him during my sabbatical.
Oh, he took a sabbatical.
I lived there and froze there for 7 months.
Did you?
93, 94. But I'm very fortunate that I was there in 1990 and 91, just before the end of the Soviet Union, because I wouldn't have understood what I saw later on had I not been there while it was still the Soviet
What
Union.
were the changes that you saw?
Well, in 91, I told my hosts, I think my next sabbatical, I was there just for, what was it, 5 weeks during the summer on a research grant from the university, and doing, the music of Tormes and Estonian choral music in general. And I said, I think my next sabbatical, I usually spend my sabbaticals in Paris, but I think I'm coming back to Estonia this time. And they laughed. And they said, in the Soviet Union, if you plan 2 weeks ahead of time, you're doing very well. And you're talking about 2 years from now? I said, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Well, 2 months later, there was no more Soviet Union. But at that time, no, they couldn't plan. They didn't know because they weren't masters of their own fate. Things were controlled.
Have you, with the Riverdale Choral Society, have you done much of his music?
Well, they were wonderful. I think we did, as I mentioned before, this program of Finno-Ugric composers. We did some well-known composers in that category: Bartók, Kodály, Sibelius, as they all learned to pronounce it, not Sibelius. But then we did some music of Veljo Tormes, the composer about whom I'm actually writing a book. And we did one of his larger works based entirely on ancient folk music, in which the complete text and music of a folk song is used. And then we also did what he calls choral miniatures, which were political songs, and one has to know a little bit of the history and how Estonians learned to read between the lines.
How do you determine your programming? I assume that you're planning your programming far ahead.
Yes, it was well before the May concert that I was already thinking about September and the following May. Well, I like to rotate historic periods. Not that I have to stay within one period for a concert, but programmatically it frequently works well. So that we did a romantic program in December. We had Dvorak, we had Fauré, a beautiful Cantique de Jean Racine, and then we did all contemporary music, 20th century music, in the spring. We're going to be doing the Bach, so that's Baroque, and then classical, either Mozart or Haydn.
It sounds challenging and interesting for the members, for people who are singing. Again, we talked about, and I keep hearing, that there are two audiences. There are people who are participating and the people who are listening. There, as far as you're concerned, there are two audiences. You certainly must give all of the people who are in the chorus something that they can enjoy.
I try to.
And then turn it into a program that the audience will love. You give the two concerts, and it's open to the public, of course. You said at the Presbyterian Church in Riverdale.
That's where we've done our concerts, the last two concerts, and I should say they were my only two concerts because I've just been with the group for 1 year. I came last September.
Right.
And we're looking right now we have been looking for another venue because we need a little more space. Riverdale Presbyterian Church has wonderful acoustics and a beautiful, beautiful site. But we need more space because we're going to be using other instruments. The chorus has sung at Wave Hill in the past. It's sung at Merkin Hall in Manhattan. It's sung in a number of places in the Bronx.
Seems to me it's a great opportunity. Going back to what we were discussing before, I wish I could sing because it's the kind of thing, I know you're giving me that look,
right?
But it seems like the sort of thing that I would like to participate in. But frankly, at this point, I would say I'm too embarrassed to even audition because I know, every time I've heard myself, that I couldn't. But you're telling me maybe I can.
Years ago at City College, I worked with a student who was very determined, and I found out, first of all, that he had a good ear. that he wasn't comfortable with the vocal mechanism. He didn't know the first thing of what to do. It was like a child who hadn't learned how to walk.
Sounds like me.
And I worked with him, and by the end, by his senior year, he was a leading member of the tenor section, not just a follower, but a leading member, went on to get his PhD in music.
Amazing. You mean there's hope for me?
Absolutely.
I have to say, talking about an ear, sometimes I'll hear the first few bars and I will know what the piece is.
Okay, you've got an ear.
But reproducing it, I have no control over that. But you're saying that most people, even if they can sing, they know they can sing, this is a great place for them to join. And if they don't think that they can sing, come and find out, and you may find you're surprised. Well, one of the things that doesn't surprise me is that you've had so much to say that we've run out of time. I thank you so much for coming here and talking about choral singing and this great group that you have, because I've been to the concerts, and thanks and good luck with it.
Thank you.
I hope everybody joins you.
Thank you for inviting me.
We've been talking today about a great group. It's the Riverdale Choral Society. My guest is Mimi Daitz, who is the music director and the conductor. She's had a lot to say about choral music that you too can participate, you too can enjoy. Call the number that will be fine on the screen. Find out if you can belong and be a part of it. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is The Way to Go. Until next week at this time, enjoy yourself.